are supporting this legislation be able to participate in that fund? Nobody has been able to say. Why $7 billion? What will the requirements for qualification be for the money? Nobody wants to deny care to people who, and by the way, these are primarily people who helped to clean up the site in the aftermath of 9/11. And there weren't adequate precautions taken in some cases to deal with potential health issues. And to the extent that they've become ill, they do need to be taken care of. It's one thing to make an emotional appeal to say we need to care for somebody who did something good. It's another to do it in a sensible way. And that's all we're asking for. You bring it up in the lame duck session with no opportunity to amend it, and you're probably going to make bad legislation.
All right, let's get into that. I'm joined by the former New York Governor, George Pataki, who's our guest now. And the REITs, Governor Pataki, thank you so much.
Nice being with you, Shepard.
We called a lot of your a lot of Republicans today who are in office at the moment. These are the ones who told us no. Senators Alexander, Barrasso, Cornyn, Crapo, DeMint, Enzi, Grassley, Kyle, McConnell, Sessions, Baucus, Gregg, and Inhofe. No response from Bunning, Coburn, Ensign, Graham, Hatch, and McCain. I'm not really surprised, but what is your take on why it is no one wants to talk about this, and Senator Kyle's suggestion that we should be skeptical?
Well, I don't think they're saying no to providing legislative help.
They just said no to
They're saying no to acting on a bill right now. And that
actually, so that my viewers don't misunderstand,
that they wouldn't come on and
they wouldn't come on and talk about it.
Yeah, well, I can't tell you why they didn't come on and talk about it, but I do believe that it's important that the Senate act, and I do hope they act before they break. I just listened to Senator Kyle's comments, and certainly he's raising valid questions, but I think they've been answered. The settlement funds are going to come first. If someone got those funds, they're going to have to use those first. But as Senator Gillibrand was saying, there are hundreds, thousands of first responders and construction workers who literally put aside their health care concerns in the interest of helping us get beyond September 11th. And now they're suffering greatly. I think it's like 30 first responders have died from diseases that they believe can be directly traced to work on the pile. The average age is 46, and these are healthy people. So I think it's an obligation of our country to stand up, just as they stood up for us on September 11th and the weeks and months after that. Now we have to stand up for them and say, we're not going to forget them. We're going to provide you the health care benefits you deserve because you really inspired a nation.
Yep, and they did. And I wonder what your sense of where the line is. Everybody understands that politics is a matter where we need our side to win and your side to lose. And the Republicans wanted to get this tax thing done first. They wanted pressure on the White House. This was an issue that they were using toward that end without question, right? But was that too far? Was this an issue too much?
Well, I don't think it was simply that. I think the Republicans were right in saying we had to pass the tax cut extenders before the end of this year. We need to create jobs. We need to get our economy growing, and you can't raise taxes and expect that to happen.
Right.
So I think they were right in using every lever in their toolkit to make sure those tax cuts were passed and that our economy can have the stimulus we need. But now it's over.
Right.
Now that it's done, and that's the point, Shepard. And this bill has been around for some time. I think in the House they have more than 20 hearings on the bill. The Senate sponsors like Senator Gillibrand have amended it to change the offsets to deal with some of the Republican criticism. And I just think this is the right thing to do for the people who inspired America. This is the right time to do it. It's not like the families are not ill today. They are suffering today. And to give them this assurance at this time of the year, I think is what America stands for and what we should be doing.
Well, it's hard to argue with any of that. I don't think I know anybody who would argue with any of that. Both sides are on the same page, but both sides didn't come to the same page after the tax deal went through. Both sides came to the same page when Jon Stewart did an entire hour, his last hour of the year, on this and brought on people who were dying.
Right.
And it took that to get this done. Were you surprised?
Well, it's not done yet.
I know, but even to get people to talk about it on the same page.
Well, I think there's always a belief in both parties in Washington that you can always do it later, and perhaps you do it better if you do it later. But when you talk about first responders and people who inspired America who are very ill and may well be dying, later is not good enough. Yeah. We should do it now.
You're right, and thank goodness this didn't happen down in a place like New Orleans where they don't have a lot of media to run around and take up for themselves, and where Governor Pataki and Senator Gillibrand don't have microphones in their backyard, because then it might have worked out differently. Because I remember a time when things did. Thank goodness this was here, so in the media capital of the world. Don't you feel the same way?
Well, I can't say thank goodness this happened here. I wish it had never happened anywhere. But I do believe that the eyes of the country were on New York. We really, not because of the politicians, but because of those individuals, the firefighters, firefighters, the EMTs, the construction workers, the police officers. They are the reasons that America was inspired by the response of September 11th, and we need this law for them.
It's great to hear. Governor, thank you so much for coming in. It's great to see this to get done before the holidays, and I know families across the country are going to be mighty thankful.
Thank you, Shepard.
Thank you. New trouble for WikiLeaks now, and it's serious. Bank of America, the latest financial giant, to sever ties with that site. But WikiLeaks isn't letting this go without a fight. A live report next. And parts of California slammed. Inches and inches, in some case feet of rain. Now the flooding and the mudslides, and what happens next? We'll get to all of it. That's coming up.